Tonight in PRIME7 News, a family arrives home to find they've lost everything in a suspicious fire. A Queensland animal shelter takes in a dozen homeless cats from our troubled pound. Draft dreams shattered, a young AFL hopeful finds a new role on the field.
And the last of the heat has come and gone. I'll have your weekend weather forecast shortly.
This is PRIME7 News at 6 with Freya Cole.
Good evening. A Wagga family's lost everything in a suspicious overnight house fire while visiting Sydney. Police say neighbours heard people in the backyard of the home before it appears it was torched.
This morning, the smoke was still billowing from the central Wagga home on Evans Street. A family devastated that they've lost everything they've ever owned in a matter of minutes.
Didn't believe it, I guess.
No, we didn't believe it until we seen it, and then just upset. We've lost everything.
We've got the clothes on our backs and that's about it, and each other.
Yep.
Police believe the fire could be the work of arsonists. Neighbours say they heard people scoping out the home at around 8:30 last night before hearing loud explosions. It's one of 3 recent house fires in Wagga that police believe were deliberately lit.
The brazenness of how this fire has occurred is astounding in respect to the witnesses have heard loud explosions coming from the house, and the house has been engulfed in flames shortly after.
The McIntoshes are just glad no one was home at the time and the family cat managed to escape.
We've lost it all, stuff we can never get back. Yeah, sure, all the material stuff is replaceable, but, we've got memories of deceased loved ones and stuff that we can't ever replace. It's all gone.
Yeah.
Police investigations into the cause of the fire are underway. They're yet to make any arrests over the 3 recent house fires. Caitlin Dugan, PRIME7 News.
Wagga police are looking for 2 people in connection with 900 allegedly stolen items in Ashmont. Priscilla Mocker filed this report from the police station.
Police are searching for John Douglas Johnson and Sarah Nickey. Both were living at the Mumford Street home where police uncovered what they called a treasure trove of allegedly stolen items back in February. While the owners of some of the stolen property have been tracked down, 32-year-old John Douglas Johnson and 24-year-old Sarah Nickey have not. Police believe they're still living in the Ashmont area. If you know where they are, contact Crime Stoppers.
Thank you, Priscilla Mocker there with that information and that report. A Sunshine Coast animal shelter has stepped in to adopt the cats from the Wagga pound following this week's shocking allegations. The shelter has taken in 12 cats and is hoping to find them new homes up north.
Three's company, and with an extra 12 cats joining this trio, it's sure to be a crowd. Miranda Wells runs the Sequilici Rescue Ranch on the Sunshine Coast. When she heard the shocking allegations about live cats being dumped in a freezer at the Wagga pound and animals vanishing from council records, she had to step in.
Once this was released and it appeared the investigation wasn't false, we all wanted to do something about it.
Her charity has coughed up about $1,500 to take a dozen cats from the embattled Wagga pound, where she feared they'd eventually be put down. 2 cats have already found new homes in New South Wales.
We deal with many pounds up here in Queensland, and it was kind of almost, I was feeling a bit selfish if I left them out and then ventured to help somewhere else. But in the end we decided to go ahead with it and fundraise for their transport and their release fees.
After a heavy online backlash against the pound, Wagga Council is calling for social media commentators to take action rather than sit back and attack.
We're currently under quite a bit of pressure with numbers in the pound. To come to the pound, look at the animals, adopt one of those animals, take them home and make them your pet and give them a far better life.
We had our doubts, didn't think we'd be able to do it, so really happy that it's come together. It's a good feeling.
The cats are due to arrive at the ranch by Sunday. Priscilla Mocker, PRIME7 News.
Thick plumes of black smoke could be seen for kilometres after a cattle truck crashed on the Hume Highway near Coolac. Firefighters rushed to put out the fire at around 2:30 this afternoon. It was already well alight when they arrived. Bystanders managed to get the cattle off the truck unhurt. Trucks and cars could be seen banked up for kilometres behind the crash. A husband and wife have been reunited in Wagga after a staggering 7 years apart. Hung Ki Lao Tu left Burma in search of a better life in 2008. After spending the last 3 years in and out of refugee camps, his wife has finally joined him in Australia.
Hung Ki Lao Tu and Tung Xian have waited too long for this embrace. Wearing hearts proudly on their chest, the pair were all smiles as they spent their first full day together in 7 years.
I can't express by words. I can say only like this. I'm so happy.
Hung Ki left their village in Burma to try find work in Malaysia in 2008, then moved to Australia in 2012. Ever since, the couple's been fighting to be reunited. After 3 years of limited work and food, in and out of Malaysian refugee camps, Tung landed in Wagga.
We carry like this with a basket and carry like this. In Australia, not like this, just easy. Put in the car and drive it. Easy life. I'm so happy here.
Finally together, their future is secure. Tung will take up a TAFE course in English, while Hung Ki finishes studying for an apprenticeship. Having got through 7 years apart, they could be couples counsellors, insisting communication is the most important thing.
No, not secret. That we just talking with only phone. Only we use landline. So if I want to talk with my wife, and I make appointment first.
Mark Santomartino, PRIME7 News.
Fluctuating petrol prices across the Riverina have prompted more calls for an investigation. While Gundagai drivers are slugged with some of the highest unleaded prices in New South Wales, a new independent operator is easing their pain.
This Two-Bowser station has been open for less than a month, but it's already made its mark on price-savvy motorists. The consumer watchdogs found unleaded prices in Gundagai are 30% higher than Sydney's. But independent operator Gundagai Fuels hopes competition in town will change that.
Getting a heaps of support from locals, as I'm giving them further discount on the fuel, shopping with IGA, so they're happy and supporting me.
Would you opt to come to the smaller ones?
Well, now we can, yeah. You know, like the Shell's been having a monopoly here I've been here for 11 years, and it's the same for 11 years.
They're about 4 cents cheaper than the Coles Express servos that bookend Gundagai. Motorists are relieved they finally have another option, but they want to know why they've had to fork out so much for so long.
Well, they've been ripping us off for years, you know, and people like this, you know, if they're making a profit, what's the big blokes making?
In Leeton, motorists are enjoying some of the cheapest prices in the state, at just $1.02 a litre. The ACCC monitors petrol prices in 190 regional towns to ensure they don't slip too far from what Sydney drivers are charged. Priscilla Mocker, PRIME7 News.
Let's check in on the weather now with Madeleine Collignon. Maddie, over to you.
Thanks, Freya. Nice and sunny across the region today, although it was a fair bit cooler compared to what we have been seeing. And the reason for the cool change is thanks to those cooler southwesterly winds that have been moving across New South Wales and Victoria. Zooming in now and taking a look at the temperatures. Keep in mind, yesterday, Junee made it to 32. Today, a top of just 22 degrees with a top temp of 23 degrees in Wagga. That's actually right on average for this time of year. Overnight dipping down to 7. So we did see some fairly cool starts. Adelong and Talbingo dipping down to just 6 degrees last night. West Wyalong 24, tomorrow 23, and Young 24 after a low of 7 degrees overnight. Over to the dam levels now, and Burrinjuck Dam is sitting at 35%. How much cooler is it going to get as we head through the next few days and into the weekend? I'll let you know right after sport.
Thank you, Maddie. Still to come, new research to protect pets and working dogs, and a new beginning in sight for a troublesome bridge.
And at 6:30 tonight, an 18-month-old boy dies. His grandmother injured after being struck by a car in Sydney. Australian students shot in the US with police hunting 3 suspects. We'll tell you why Prince Harry's teaming up with wounded army veterans. All those stories, the day's local and national news coming up at 6:30.
Stay in touch 24/7 with PRIME7 News.
Wagga's mayor is moving to quell fears over the proposed transport hub at Bowman. The state government has expressed concerns over the project's cost and whether it'd service Sydney ports. Mayor Kendall says it's a small price to pay for Wagga's future, especially when compared to the capital.
We're trying to find $10 million from the state government. $10 million. When I read in the paper that there's a consideration of $1.3 billion from the state government to support, for example, new football stadia in Sydney.
The council's desperate for state support with a $14 million federal deadline set for April 29. The Riverina's first ever wind farm has been given the green light. The $400 million project's being granted conditional approval on the state's planning website. 79 turbines will be installed between Harden and Yass, down on the planned 124. The farm will generate enough electricity to power 85,000 homes. Developers say construction will start as soon as possible. Local firefighters have started conducting hazard reduction burns now that bushfire season is over. More than 40 fireys burnt off around 7 hectares of grass near Equex Stadium. While it was a small burn, extra firefighters were brought in because of how close the flames were to nearby factories.
It keeps the fuel down, which and for the residential areas it stops any snakes and other rodents from growing. So we just try and clean the area up and keep the whole area safe, ready for next bushfire season.
Fire crews will conduct more hazard reduction burns while the weather is mild. Wagga's infamous Kapooka Bridge upgrade is nearly complete. For the first time, PRIME7 can take you on top the $55 million bypass, which is just months away from opening.
100,000 cubic metres of dirt pushed aside for driving safety. The southern end of the new Kapooka Bridge is cleared. Soon it will bypass this notorious S-bend, cutting down on travel times.
I think they'll love it. I think that the community have been watching this closely. They certainly campaigned long and hard for this, and I think that they're very impressed.
Just 9 months ago, the bridge was only 30% complete. Today, it towers over the highway. Final cement deckings being laid, and workers are installing drainage. Traffic will start being diverted onto the new bridge once surfacing works are complete in a few short months. That'll be a big boon for safety and also one for business.
Importantly, it takes out that terrible bend at the Kapooka Bridge, which has caused many accidents, and it allows the doubling of containers on the main rail line from Sydney to Melbourne.
Weather permitting, the new will replace the old by mid-year. Mark Santomartino, PRIME7 News.
The multi-million-dollar redevelopment of Gundagai's Main Street is now in its final stages. One side of Sheridan Street is close to completion, with new pavers worth more than $800,000 now in place. Locals have been paying higher rates to help fund the upgrade, so they're keen to see it finished. Construction has started on the other side of the road, with split-level retaining walls and garden beds to be installed.
Landscaping and underground irrigation currently happening, and then paving on the northern side will complete the footpath pavement works, and then we'll have handrails go in with our ramps. The street lights are now in, and the street's starting to look really good.
Charles Sturt University research should see a reduction in grass seed injuries to dogs. Veterinary science lecturer Martin Coombs says changes to grooming practices can help save dogs, especially those on the farm.
For working dogs, the threat of grass seeds catching in their coats is one of the risks of the job, and it can turn deadly for some.
Hundreds of cases in this region every year, not just trivial cases often, but serious cases. Animals with infections in their chest, around their heart, and their back.
The seeds can work their way into the dog's skin, often causing painful and dangerous abscesses. But researchers shed light on grass seed-related diseases after a groundbreaking survey of 470 infected dogs.
We thought nobody had really looked at whether there was any risk factors that we could ameliorate, or whether there were prevention strategies that we could employ.
One of the more surprising findings of the survey is that medium-haired dogs such as Terrier are more than 3 times as likely to suffer from grass seed-related diseases. Groomers say there's an important lesson for owners: do more than just clip your dog's coat.
Yeah, well, research has shown that it's important that they're regularly groomed. So if they're regularly groomed, they haven't got anything that that the grass seed can grab onto.
Advice to keep our hounds happy and healthy well into the coming dog years. Tom Major, PRIME7 News.
Sports on the way next, as an injury-plagued draft hopeful finds a new role on the field. And both barrels blazing as top shooters take aim in Wagga. A Temora boys AFL draft dream has been shattered once again. Jack Irvine's just out of hospital after his second ACL operation in as many years.
It's been a week since Temora's Jack Irvine came out of surgery on his ACL. He was playing a practice match for the Giants and just felt it go. The pain was worse this time around. They used his kneecap instead of his hamstring for the repair. Irvine was out for 9 months with the first one. He recovered well, but not well enough to be picked up in last year's draft. Now he'll be out of action for another whole year.
Bit of a speed bump, I suppose, but I probably head down to Melbourne maybe next year and have a crack at it, and probably I won't die wondering, and yes, try to play the best footy I can next year, I think.
He's so set on a footy-based career that he's back on the field already, this time coaching these juniors, even though he can't always demonstrate the drills.
He's looking after the under-14s Giants development program, so just to try and keep me involved throughout the year. To obviously he can't play, but just might sow the seed for him if he wants to be a coach later on in life or wherever it leads.
I've got a real feel for it, I suppose, and I really enjoy it. And I've learned a fair bit off the Giants Academy coaches and all the Rams and that. So yeah, to bring me knowledge here, it's a good fit.
If it doesn't all work out, Irvine can definitely see himself pursuing coaching, but he's not ready to give up on AFL footy just yet. Lauren Markham, PRIME7 News.
The biggest event on Australia's trap shooting calendar kicked off today. The double barrel event at the Nationals did not disappoint. It's the most sought after silverware of the week. In the double barrel event, each shooter has 2 shots at the clay and aren't penalised for using their second shot. In Wagga last year, Darren Nichols broke a world record with 1,040 shots without fault. A local shooter thinks someone could go one better this week.
These guys are the best in the country. You won't find better shots anywhere today, especially. Guys like Darren Nichols, they're the guys to beat. They're the top of the tree. They're the pinnacle of the sport at the moment.
The Trap Carnival has 3 days to go. Southern Inland Rugby is about to start its first year under a new format. The more competitive leagues starting with some serious matchups in round 1.
Temora, Young and Cootamundra are no longer part of Southern Inland. That means no more split mid-season and the strongest comp we've seen in years. In round 1, Tumut faced last year's premiers. The Bulls stepped it up a gear last year and could trouble a reshaped Albury. Things are going to be tough for CSU without the 2-tier system.
We played Waratahs in a trial and they were very impressive, and I believe they will go a long way in their competition this year. I think Tumut, on the back of their strong season last year, will build, and they've also, there are a few players who have gone to Tumut who I think will bolster that squad.
Reddies have Griffith first round. They're relying on their pre-season fitness to carry them through.
So we have an idea of what Griffith will bring to the table. They're a very strong, very fast team, but we need to try to match that, and we've been working on our fitness because we do believe if we get that area right, it will be to our advantage this Saturday.
Leeton narrowly missed out on the grand final last year. They're confident they can take the points off Ag College.
We might have a bit of physicality on them. They're a very fit side and they get around the field really well,
but I think we might have a little bit more size, so I think we'll keep it tight, just look to bust them up a bit.
It's Wagga City who have the toughest challenge, facing early favourites Waratahs. Lauren Markham, PRIME7 News.
And that's sport for now. Coming up, Maddie joins us with the latest on the autumn weather.
Hello once again, Madeleine Collingyoung with you. It was a beautiful autumn's day across our region today, although it was a whole lot cooler than what we have been experiencing so far this week. In fact, temperatures were up to 10 degrees cooler today compared to what we had yesterday. Junee today, a top temp of 22, yesterday 32. And the cool change is all thanks to those cooler winds that have been following that cold front in from the southwest. Now, this high pressure system here is going to leave us with fine, dry and calm conditions as we head through the next few days. Let's zoom in now and take a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Should be a lovely day across our region. In Young, we could see a bit of cloud around, but it's very unlikely that we will see any rain. 23 for Young, Grenfell and Cooter. West Wyalong 24, Griffith 24, Narrandera 23 and Wagga's in for a top temp of 23 degrees once again, which is the same as what it was yesterday, and that's right on average for this time of year. 24 in Tumut and 21 degrees in Tumbarumba. As we head into Saturday, it is going to get a little bit warmer, not by much though. 25 for Wagga, 26 in West Wyalong and 25 degrees in Griffith. On Sunday, looking good right across the board. We are expecting to see more clear, sunny skies and calm conditions. 24 degrees for Wagga, 25 in West Wyalong and 25 in Griffith. However, it is going to start to cool down on Monday. I'll get to that in a moment, but quickly, sunrise tomorrow morning is just before 6:30. And now here's the forecast for Monday. 21 degrees in Wagga, which is a couple of degrees below average for April. 21 on Tuesday, remaining fine but warming up slightly on Wednesday and Thursday.
Thank you, Maddie. And that's all we have time for in the local news tonight. You can discuss tonight's stories on Facebook and see tonight's bulletin on YouTube. I hope you can join us again tomorrow at 6, but stay with us now for PRIME7 News at 6:30 with Daniel Gibson.